Hello, leaders. Hey, this is Paul Grau, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges, the daily show that equips leaders and entrepreneurs to achieve their greatest potential. This show is sponsored by Current Leadership Coaching, and they help entrepreneurs excel as leaders so they can create super teams. Find out more about them at currentleadershipcoaching.com. Hey, hope you're doing great today. And all this week, we are talking about negotiating and some negotiating skills that will surely set you up for success whenever you find yourself in a negotiation situation, which for a leader is fairly often. Hey, today I want to discuss a skill that can be honed throughout your entire lifetime, and it's one of the tougher things that I find to do in negotiating. I think this skill is so tough for me because I love to win, especially when I'm negotiating for something that will benefit my team members or my clients. However, this skill is needed very often in the negotiating process because without it, you can become quickly known as the non-negotiable negotiator or a very rigid one. And that's right up there next to the really bad pushy used car salesman, if you know what I mean. So this skill is being flexible and being willing to make trade-offs along the way if needed in the negotiation process. Now, this may sound like you are giving in when you first hear it, but there's a reason why I say this is a skill. If you go into negotiation without preparing up front, being flexible and making trade-offs isn't necessarily a skill. In that case, it's more of a reaction to try to save the negotiation from being a complete bust. However, if you prepare for this ahead of time, it can become an extremely powerful skill. If you listened to episode 833 on Tuesday, you heard me say it's super important to know what you want before beginning the negotiations. You must know your bottom line and how much you are willing to negotiate, or what your ideal settlement would be, your acceptable zone. If you've negotiated well, this is where you already know where you want to end up. Now, what if both sides cannot get to their acceptable zones in a negotiation? Well, this is where it comes down to flexibility and trade-offs if you really want to get the deal done. You need to know what you're willing to trade off and just how flexible that you're willing to be. Now, this takes a lot of practice, and even going into the negotiation well prepared is not a guarantee that you're going to end up where you want to be. But having a few things in mind that you are willing to trade off or throw in to make the deal sweeter for the other side, all while remaining in your acceptable zone, is a great tactic to have. The ultimate bottom line and best case scenario in negotiating is getting to the point where both sides are in their zone of acceptance. And whoever can get to their zone first and close the deal is usually very pleased. In the case of the car that was for sale that we talked about in episode 833, you began the negotiation knowing what your acceptable zone was, and that was between $18,500 and $20,000. Now, the potential buyer was willing to go as high as $18,000, and now you're at a standstill. So, in this case, if you have a few trade-offs in mind going into the negotiation, you may be able to sweeten the deal a little bit. Maybe you have a set of fairly new tires in your garage that you'd be willing to part with. Or maybe you have a coupon for 10 car washes or detailing. Or maybe you can tell them that you'll buy their first 5 oil changes if they're willing to go up to $18,500. Another option in negotiating is to be flexible and split the difference. You may simply offer to go down to $18,250, and they may be willing to come up. And in that case, you are both a little flexible and the deal is done. This is a classic example of compromise, as both sides were willing to give up a little bit to get what they want. Now, today's challenge is for you to think about a discussion that you recently had with someone that included any type of negotiation. It may have been somebody asking for a raise or extra time off, or heck, maybe even your daughter asking for an extra hour while she's out on a date. Then, think about how prepared you were to have that negotiating conversation. Did you have an acceptable zone or bottom line in mind before you began? Were you willing to be flexible or make trade-offs? Remember, if you fail to be flexible or unwilling to make trade-offs, you may get a bad reputation when it comes to negotiating. And that's just not always a good thing for yourself or your team. Hey, as a reminder, we are super excited about our brand new leadership training site here at Current Leadership Coaching. This site offers 2 video leadership courses each month, along with live video training calls, plus group coaching, and a community of like-minded leaders who want to continuously grow their leadership skills just like you. The window to sign up for this site is only open until October 21st at midnight. So if you're interested in taking advantage of this offer at the absolute ridiculously lowest price imaginable, please visit currentleadershipcoaching.com/current, CURRENT. And you'll also be able to find a direct link to that page in today's show notes. Hey, the bottom line is that here at CLC, our passion is to help you excel as leaders so that you can be the best leader imaginable. And we truly believe that this site will be like nothing that's ever been offered before, especially at this low cost. So if nothing else, check out the details. As always, we greatly appreciate you for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until tomorrow, run to your challenges.